online. How is there not? Ha. Okay, it seems we are online. Hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to another Free Lives development stream. My name is Robbie. Today I'm going to be working on our base building strategy game called Second Earth. It looks something like this. It's a game about building bases and defending them from aliens. So you can play this now for free on itch. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. I'm also going to drop a link to our Discord where you should engage with us and hang out. Right, so today what's on the menu is Jonathan's been working on this super cool new world map for a while now. And in the current itch build of the game, there's just a big long row of 17 buttons, and there's no metagame to speak of. You just unlock them all in order, and it's really boring. And so we wanted to have this world map where you get to sort of like do old school Command and Conquer style, like take over territories and choose missions, and there'll be some sort of like choices to make and things like that. So Johnson's been working on the visuals for a while. It's looking really good, and now it's time to finally start putting in some metagame functionality and making this sort of world map actually be functional and start to work as part of like a grander campaign idea. The first thing I'm gonna actually do is just make sure I have the latest version in source control. Right, that's just to make sure that we're all working on the same versions of the files. Reload that. So what I've got already is I've been working on sort of a save system for the game. So there's a bit of a serialization backend where we can take the campaign progress and sort of save arbitrary data out to JSON files. Looks like this. It's very exciting that this works to me. So we can sort of save and store arbitrary campaign progress stuff now, so we can actually make decisions and store those, whereas previously we could just sort of store an index or like a list of completed levels in player prefs, which is a much worse system. So got a more flexible system for save games in there. The next thing is to sort of start to make this like nice art that Jonathan's made actually be a functional UI for choosing missions and have you be able to like progress through the game using this screen instead of the old one with buttons. So you can see we've got these territories, and at the moment they're purely visual, but what I've done is I've assigned a mission to some of them, and these missions are all sort of scriptable objects that reference a scene which has the actual like level in it that you'll play, and they also unlock other missions. So at the moment it's all just linear flow because this is just ported from the old metagame, but yeah, so you start here with tutorial defense map, you go to tutorial power map, etc. So I've just assigned a mission to each sort of territory, or not every territory has a mission at the moment. And then I'm literally just drawing these arrows and names in debug mode, so that's all I've gotten so far. So just fix this. So let's do some programming. If anyone has questions or comments or abuse or whatever, just feel free to post it in the chat and I'll do my best to respond. So I was doing a little bit of work on this earlier, and literally all I've done is I've split this tutorial map territory hover class into two classes. So we have a territory class, and then we'll have this existing one that Jonathan wrote that will handle all the kind of like UI stuff. So there's a few things in here like is owned and can mouse over that's really sort of game state related. So those should be part of territory, which is going to sort of maintain the state of the actual game progress. So let's actually just run this project and see. It's going to close some junk that I don't need. Get my life a little bit organized. So what happens if we run the project? So we've got these different territories. They're kind of just got temporary numbers and names and things. But it's really cool. We can zoom in on them, and in theory you'd be able to click this button and start a mission, and you might be here and you'd have sort of like a few choices of like the next mission you could go to, or you could like look at old missions and replay them, something like that. But at the moment I can just click on any of these and none of these buttons do anything, and it's unrelated to the actual like content of the game, i.e. the levels that we've already made. So I noticed that some of these are glowing orange. So what's the difference between these two? Okay, it's this is owned state. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is make an enum, I think, for sort of like the, I guess the territory state. So a territory can be go from like sort of conquered, use some military terminology here. Unlocked and locked. Maybe we should stick with owned. My friend Jan is messaging me. I will chat to you later. Also, sorry, this stream was supposed to start at 3, but it's starting like an hour late because I was writing an email. And sometimes it takes an hour to write an email. Sometimes it takes months to decide to write an email. So I guess the default state is actually locked. Just like these can be in any order, but I'm just putting them in the order of sort of what the typical flow will be, where territory will start locked. It'll become unlocked when you sort of like have done all the prerequisite missions, and then once you've conquered it, it'll be owned. So I don't know what exactly can mouse over does.
I don't know either.
Jonathan, I don't know if you can hear that. Jonathan says he doesn't know either. Let's figure it out. What's your best guess
My best guess.
for can mouse over?
It checks if they're if it should swap materials or something when you mouse over a territory, but it doesn't work very well because,
Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as I can tell, it doesn't really have a corresponding game state. It's just a visual thing. So first I'm going to remove this is owned thing, which is apparently used everywhere. So we're going to do a little bit of reorganizing to this class. So the main thing I want to reorganize here is just putting these sort of serializable and public fields all in the same order, because otherwise I get really confused. And I'm not super fond of this kind of thing. Where it's just public stuff, so I'm gonna make these private. And I'm gonna give them this formerly serialized as attribute so that they don't lose all of their stuff, like their existing serialized data. So, I mean, this is mainly just like a preference thing, and to some degree I'm sort of enforcing my... this actually shouldn't be part of here either, and this should be part of the territory. I'm sort of just enforcing my... preferences on things. But the rest of the project is sort of set up in the same way, so the other goal is just consistency. So this. So for now, just going to put in a lost shortcut property, checking whether the state is owned cool. That's looking better. So, territory law. Got this. So we're not setting the label anymore. I'll have to fix that. Cool. John Soto says, finally I can catch one live. Welcome, John. Hope this is exciting or interesting. I always get like anxious about streaming and I feel like it's boring a lot of the time. But at the very least it does get me to sit down and focus for like an hour. What am I doing? Cool. Does this compile? No. So just going to expose the camera transform as well. So each territory has kind of like a transform that represents where the camera should be when you click on it, and that's why you get that cool sort of like camera zooming around effect. So I'm just fixing all the things that I refactored. Okay, it loads. We're starting to get somewhere. So the last thing I'm going to do is just expose the label so that we can set it later. So we've got our world map controller. Just look at the hierarchy here. So world map controller should know all about all of the territories. So what we need is some way to, what I'm thinking about next is I want to load the save file that has all the campaign progress in it, and then sort of set up all the state on these territory objects, and then then the visual side, aka this hover class, will then infer all the visuals from the territory class. So I've just got to think about how I'm going to do that. I'm just going to make a load campaign progress method. And so in world map controller, override the awake method. We'll get a copy of all the territories. And then in start, just gonna loop over them. I feel like my typing gets worse when I'm on stream, but I might just be more aware of how bad it is. And it's actually terrible all the time. So I like to do this a lot, where I'll do all my get components in awake and then only use them in start. This kind of means that like awake is sort of reserved for finding references and setting things up, so I know by the time it gets to start, everything has their references, and I have like a nice clean break between like gathering dependencies and sorting yourself out, and then actually like moving on to stuff that might use other dependencies. Otherwise, if you start to mix things up, you can like get these in the wrong order, where you're trying to use something in awake, but the get component only happens in start, and that kind of thing. Cool. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a similar method here. And I'm going to literally just repeat all of this. So might actually change this name, call it progress loaded. Right, and so earlier I exposed this label. I don't actually need to expose it publicly. I'm just going to use it here. Protector label dot set name speed territory dot something like this. So we're not actually saving this. So part of the territory names is we'd like to have you to be able to name a territory after you've conquered it, I guess, as sort of like a colonial thing, just more world building and also some opportunities for good jokes and some sort of like, you know, creativity or like performance for the player to do, which is fun. So let's make sure this all still runs to some degree. It does not. You see this is exactly the thing I was talking about, where this is now trying to use a singleton instance in a wake. At some point, I will be done restructuring these things and we can make some actual progress. Okay, does this now actually work? Cool, a lot of Zuckerberg-bergs, which can be clicked on. Okay, so now we've got to load the campaign progress, which should basically already be happening. The only thing I might need to do is, so the typical flow for this is you would go to the world map screen from a menu or from an existing game. In which case, sort of like the campaign and stuff has already been set up in another scene. I just want a path now for sort of editor purposes, where if we start just from scratch in here, it will just load like the default campaign and use that, even though we haven't like chosen it from a menu or anything like that. So there's something similar happening if you start a map level in that way. Find where that is. Game state. Right. Okay, so it's just here. So I've got this is in game scene. I'm gonna make this an enum, I think. Actually, I don't know if I'm gonna do that. Maybe I'll not do that just yet. Let's keep it as world map. Okay, so we should load the correct campaign save file from disk when we start in the editor now. And this method should be called, and I should just be able to like see so I can log out the mission name and has mission being completed. So let's open up that save file, see what it looks like. It looks like this. So basically the only thing we've got here is this should show that the tutorial lava laser level has been completed. Let's see if our debugs reflect that. Aha. Okay, so that worked perfectly. So we're successfully loading and parsing that JSON file, and then that's sort of going via this whole save system that I wrote, and we're sort of populating this kind of like campaign progress, sort of like object model version that stays in memory. So we have access to these kind of things, and I can sort of arbitrarily add and remove fields here as we need them, which is neat. Okay, so we've got our mission. So then state definitely equals owned. So now we've got to figure out if a mission is unlocked or locked. So because we have sort of branching now, so one of the reasons we're doing this is because we want to be able to have branching. We can have a situation where, like, if these are all missions, get a bigger brush. Why make a brush bigger? This is a mission. We could have a situation like this, where you've done mission A, and now you can choose to do B or C, and then when you get to mission D, we basically have to figure out whether like D is unlocked if you've done B or C. And at the moment we have sort of like dependencies the other way around. So A unlocks C and B unlocks D. So I should just be able to check all of the missions and see if there's one. Didn't I already write a method that does this? Maybe I already did this. The campaign. So I've got this get all possibly completed missions. So I can't remember why I wrote this. I'm sure there was a good reason. But basically what I think I can do is just so where it gets a little bit complicated is if sort of the save file changes and things like that, where I think what this is doing is trying to find the same thing. Like we're searching for nodes that lead to D, but we're not just iterating through the entire collection. We're starting from the root and working our way up, in case, you know, we change things around and like D is no longer connected in the same way it was before. This is kind of like, it might be a problem we don't care about, because it's kind of like, how does the save file cope with like changes to the campaign order and things like that. So Ethan says, pathfinding, almost, not quite pathfinding. It's kind of like it's a graph problem, so I guess kind of like pathfinding. So I think what we should be able to do is, I should just be able to say if state dot get all possibly completed missions. So actually this is not going to be an if statement. Possible I'm just going to call this previous missions. Returns a list and not an array. I'm going to refactor this into a method. This is a thing I do a lot when I need to calculate some kind of value like this. I could just sort of like set it in here where I'm passing the state, etc., etc. And then I have to like break this loop and do other things if I find something. But I often like to refactor this into its own method, just because it separates it out and it makes the code neater. Like I can just return instead of having to sort of stop, like break loops and continue exiting and stuff like that. So we can just return territory state.owned, and then so if the territory isn't owned, I'll see if any of the previous missions have been completed. And so we return unlocked. Otherwise we just return locked. Right, so I think there is just a special case for if it's the root node, right? So if this is the first mission in the campaign, then it has to be unlocked. Honestly, that's not what I expected. So at some point I will... Wait, what is going on here? That's what I want. That is not at all what I expected. Okay, so this Skittle possibly completed missions is not doing what I expect it to do. I'm gonna try something like this. No. Right, so this also needs to be. So we have a list of all the missions. Just going to do the obvious thing first. What? Honestly, Hang on, most of these say locked. Alright. It might have been working the whole time.
Review comes in response.
No, it just is submit not a response, that's it.
Just realized that visually there's sort of no difference between locked and unlocked, although we should see one that is owned. Should be tutorial lava laser, which is this one up here. What is your state? Okay, so so things that are locked shouldn't be able to mouse over. So you might ask, like, why is this an enum if the only way I'm ever sort of using it is via these like booleans? And the reason for that is just that I could have just two different booleans to here, but then I'd have to keep them synchronized. So enums are nice because I know it can always be in like this but not that and not that, or this but not that and not that. So I know it stays synchronized even if the way I'm interacting with it is almost as if it's three booleans. So at the moment, I think we only have two visual states, which is kind of the problem. So I'm seeing what this looks like is if we... Right, so this one, even though we've completed it, it still considers itself locked. Oh. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to consult with this guy. Jono.
Hello.
So at the moment, territories. Am I right in saying that territories only really have like two visual states at the moment? They sort of have this like red glowy one, and then they have this blue one.
Sort of. Not exactly, I think. So there should be a third one, which is like nothing, right? Like there's no visual indicator that it exists because it's just like undiscovered. So.
Right.
And it should be that. It should be the blue one. It should be the orange one. And then there's if you are hovering over it. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, I'm not really counting hover states.
And then if you select it, it has like this white border.
Right, right. So they're selected. So what I think you need is sort of at the moment territories can be in 3 states,
Okay.
which is
In terms of the data.
yeah. So game state wise, they can be sort of like
Undiscovered.
sort of like locked,
Selectable,
unlocked, or
yeah.
completed.
Yeah.
Right. So like if this one's completed, like maybe these 2 next to it should be unlocked, and they should look orange. This should look blue like it is. And then I don't know if there's like a gray or something, but I think we need some kind of like visual state for that. Yeah, and then obviously hover and selection states on top of that. I don't think you'll be able to select the like the locked ones,
yeah.
but I think we should still have like the outlines there. So like they don't need a hover state or to be able to select them. But completed ones and unlocked ones you need to be able to mouse over, and so I don't know if that's just we need one more batch of materials
Yeah.
or something.
It'll probably just be another border color.
Yeah, something like that. What about, so there's this material as well. Would we not want a grey version of that as well?
And something to own.
No, for when something's locked. So it's not just the border, you want also...
Oh, so I sort of imagine that if it's locked, it's you might see the border for it, but it's sort of otherwise indistinguishable
Okay.
from.
Yeah,
from screen.
let's try that then.
Yeah, I mean otherwise like it can be another one. It's really easy.
Right. Cool. I'm gonna commit what I have now. For work on campaign territories. So I think I realized the problem with, so this is kind of like just a dumb method. Where is it? Here. Oh wait, let me finish doing my source control so that, did I do this already? I already did. Okay, I did. Yeah, and it's not urgent, but let me know when you added the third stage.
Oh, sure.
Or I can try to do it as well.
So you've been splitting things between visuals and game state, or
Yeah.
hasn't that?
I have.
Okay.
Let me actually just do this. So it's all like fully exposed there.
'Cause
Well,
I think that'll just be a border then.
cool. Yeah, I mean, it's halfway through being implemented, but there's enough there for you to work with. Otherwise, I can also do it. I'll just pick worse colors than you will.
Cool.
What was the thing I was talking about? Oh yeah, so if we look at the campaign, I'm sort of trying to figure out if a level is unlocked. And this is sort of the naive thing where we just iterate through all of the levels, and if there's one that sort of has an edge leading to the thing we're looking for, then we just say, okay, it's unlocked. And so the reason this isn't good enough is because as we like change things over time, we want to like rearrange things, and you might end up with a situation, which is kind of what we have now in the current save file, where like this level, let's say, is unlocked in the save file, but nothing like this one isn't, right? And this is the only path to get here, so in that case we should actually consider this one locked as well. And this might happen if we change the order of things, and it's just like a backwards compatibility thing. You have to think about this stuff. So we can't just iterate through all the levels and see if this edge exists. We also need to see if we can like reach this edge starting from the root, which is what I think I was trying to do here. So I'm going to do something similar. I'm going to call it still is mission unlocked. So we don't need this list of missions. I'm going to keep a list of explored missions though. This is just in case we have some kind of cyclical dependency. I don't think we will, but yeah, we definitely shouldn't. The mission has been completed. It's good, obviously. The mission, I should just do this up front. I think this will just work. I'll comment this method out just for now because I'm not sure what I was writing there. Oh, also, I wasn't actually using that. I'm just going to log out the unlocked missions.
Did you push the part you had?
Yes, I think so. Oh, turns out this was part of something else. Right. Forgetting about code that I wrote literally 2 days ago. Tutorial defense map. Okay, that's correct. So even though this one is technically owned, it's locked because you can't get there. Well, so actually, I'm going to do this differently. No, I just refactored this to make it a method and explained why. But now I'm undoing it. So I'll make it unlocked here. And then if it's being completed, we can set it to owned. So now this tutorial lava laser shouldn't be considered owned because there's no sort of pathable way to get to it. Cool, so that's correct. I do then wonder if it should be scrubbed from the save file. Pushed, yay! It's not best practices. Yeah, I saw that this morning. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. It's like a radio presence. Yeah. Like they report like 100 degrees, like 103 children from Chad to and the court and then just pay the fine and came to South Africa. That's the dude. Yeah.
What am I doing? I did the merge. Cool. Okay. So Jonathan's added material to the project, which is pretty neat. Board blocked. Cool. So
Chris? How's this rest yet? No, I'm sorry. Well,
so
I don't know whose cars they are, it's a big problem. See.
what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a method called refresh materials. And then I'm gonna put all of this kind of stuff in here. So this will then be. So there's a few places where we're setting the materials, and I just want to have that logic happening once. So it will only happen once. He's hungry.
He's always hungry.
I mean, it is his dinner time.
Yeah, just sit away from the street and maybe put me in. And this is bar. The reason I'm asking is not possibly like is just Ubi back on the company because it's over there. Our reasoning. It's like this is the reason why I'm paid for is only on the easy car. I think even for everyone in there's no solution like at all. No like this is obviously at your expense now.
So,
I guess I'm okay with someone driving the car that's clean enough here. It's really difficult to organize possibility. Just getting fed up with possibility. Okay, it's just like what if you're all the way in the front and it's like a
so if it's locked, then a regular renderer should be disabled, I think. If it's unlocked, it should be the unowned material. And if it's owned, it should be the owned material. And for the border, if it's owned, it should be the owned border material. Border material, it should be the locked border material. Then
get your closet I'll just check the J. I'll
select the border material. I think this is how it works. Something like that.
Can I feed you right?
You're okay for it? Sure, just telling you, because he's spazzing out. Is he? No one does.
Whoa. What have I done? Less than ideal. Right, where we see we should refresh the materials at the start. So just trying to figure out what's supposed to be happening here. Locked. Okay, so I've actually broken something somewhere else. They are saying that they're locked, although the border renderer should still be showing up in this case. So why does this mission, this territory, think it's locked? Oh, hang on. I seem to have lost a bunch of serialized data for these territories. These are all none. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this in source control. That explains a lot. I'm gonna end the stream here. I hope it was somewhat entertaining and or informative and or worth your time. Thanks for tuning in. Play this game for free right now on itch. Links in the chat. Hang out with us on Discord. And tune in tomorrow for probably a different stream. Cool, thanks for watching everyone. Have a super good Thursday.